Welcome to another edition of the Southeastern Sports Network podcast. Week 9 of the college football season marches on. Your Southeastern Lions with another big win this week, winning 49-0 over the Northwestern State Demons as they just dominate, moving to 5-2 on the season and perfect in Southland Conference play. Mark, how many is that now against the Demons in a row? Is that 15?
It's a bunch. It's 15 in a row. And
you got the double season, right?
Yeah, double season, and the scores are progressively getting larger and larger, it seems like. But, it's...
Two programs that are going in the different directions, feels like. Although I think they're on the trend up maybe a little bit from where they were at their low point if you go back 2 years ago when they kind of had to disband things. So I think they have a good coach.
I think he's the right guy.
If anybody's going to get it right, it's going to be him. So we'll see. But anyways, Lions, impressive win this week, 5-2 overall in the season, 49-0 win over Northwestern State. We'll talk more about that. We'll look ahead to HCU this coming week in Houston as an afternoon kickoff for your Lions, trying to move their Southland Conference record and continue to be undefeated. But it's now time for our interview segment this week. It's brought to you by Gateway Ford in Ponchatoula. Go check them out on their inventory at gatewayford.net. They have all kinds of good deals on their new inventory rolling in. 26s are coming in all the time. And don't forget, Gateway has the deal. If you got problems with your car, go check them out in service, right? And our next guest can talk a little bit about that. Former Lion from 1980 to 1983, former Lion defensive lineman Alan Wozniak is our special guest this week. One of the greats to play for Southeastern in the 80s. A guy who had a great high school football career. I know, talking to him a lot, he still keeps up with his high school very regularly. So, Alan, thank you for being here. Looking forward to having you on this evening talking about things.
Great. Happy to be here, fellas. I appreciate you having me on.
Alan, you're a guy that is a Lion through and through. There's no doubt about that. You played here, and I think one of the great things about you, and I'm sure you can fill us in on other guys that are like this, but you were not from this area. You came here to play football in this area. You went to school in this area, and you made a life in this area. And I think you've been, happy with that choice to stay here in the Tangipahoa Parish community. Your children grew up here. Your kids went to Southeastern. You are the pinnacle of what it means to be a Lion for life and a football player and a former player who represents this place the right way. Just talk about maybe your journey of how you ended up here in Hammond, how you recruited, and your journey to come to Southeastern Louisiana when you were a youngster.
Well, Coach Brewer was recruiting me when he was the head coach at Southeastern. And, of course, he moved on to Louisiana Tech and continued to recruit me, as well as another teammate of mine from high school. And then Coach Lofton was the AD. He became the head coach. And he remembered me being recruited by Coach Brewer, and he started recruiting me. So back in those days, you could only take 3 official visits. Me and one of my other teammates went on an official visit elsewhere, and then me and another teammate of mine went to Louisiana Tech. And then our last visit was here. And, Coach Lofton was a new head coach. Coach T.C. Calmes was coming back to Hammond from being a long stint in Nicholls State. And it just felt right. New coaching staff. They were going to let me play defense because I played both in high school. The other schools were more leaning towards me playing tight end position or something of that nature. I was an offensive tackle in high school as well as a defensive end. So, but I really wanted to play defense. And Coach Calmes assured me I would, and I don't regret one thing about it. It was a good fit. I was very, very happy with how everything turned out. Of course, Coach Calmes, my senior year, had left and had retired, and but Coach Lofton was just a pleasure to play for. Had great teammates. We had good teams, made unbelievable memories with, those guys. And there's something about that dormitory, I know nowadays things aren't the same. Back then we all stayed in the dormitory while ate in the athletic cafeteria. We were together all the time. And now there was no summer program or nothing like that. But when we were at school, we were together. And those are things you just can't take away from it.
Alan, what was your first feeling when you heard that the program was being dropped in the 80s? And what was your first feeling when you heard it was coming back?
Yeah, I was pretty distraught when it was canceled. I just couldn't kind of wrap my head around it. I kept thinking, how can schools like Nichols and Northwestern and all them still have a viable program and we didn't? And maybe I was looking for an answer that in the wrong place there, but it was very frustrating. And then there was talks here and there during that time where the program may be coming back, and it just took forever. And then when I finally heard it was happening, it was just I was beyond overjoyed that I was going to be able to take my kids to a Southeastern game and let them watch where I played, and we could all do it together, and we still do it. I'm season ticket holders. My kids and grandkids are all sitting with me in the stands. It's a lot of fun. We like to tailgate out there with the guys, the former players, and all three of my kids, like you said earlier, they all graduated from Southeastern, and probably some of my grandkids will too. I hope to be around to see that, and that's kind of and I remember seeing Coach Lofton, last year one time at tailgating, and I had three of my boys with me, so I had my three namesakes, and I kind of told Coach Lofton, I said, "Hey, you did this. You took a chance on a kid from South Florida, and now there's three more Wozniaks." And of course, Coach Lofton, in his humorous way, said, "Oh Lord, what have I done?" So, but it's been a real, like I said, from heartbreak to elation, basically. I'm just so glad and of course we're being very competitive. It isn't like we came back and we had a couple of rough seasons here and there, but we've been competitive basically since we brought it back. And we haven't been getting kicked around a lot. And, in fact, the championships there a few years back and, playoff appearances and everything else, it's, we've made good decisions with our coaching. I think, and it's just a pleasure, and it's really, really exciting to still, go out there and watch the Lions run through the tunnel and come on the field, man. It still gets you going.
Yeah.
Amen.
And last thing for you, for me, and then we'll give it to Mark here. Talk about some of the guys you got to play with that, were just, we got to mention our partner in crime, Robbie Maffus, who you played with for 1 year. But you've talked a lot about the stories about the guys you played with, and just highlight some individual performances. You remember this guy played really good this season or was standout. Who are those guys and those memories that really were the great lines you got to play with in your time?
Well, of course, we had. I was, pretty blessed with good quarterbacks on our teams the 4 years I was there. And of course, Robbie is my sophomore year, and the big comeback against back then Northeast Louisiana, UM Monroe now, where we were down 30 points and came back and won the game for homecoming, and 50-47, one of the greatest comebacks, or probably the greatest comeback in Southeastern history. And not to brag again, but I got Defensive Player of the Week, and we got 47 points scored on us. But that's okay. We won the game. We won the game. So, of course, Mac Boatner, a running back. Charlie Thomas, Mark Stubbs at linebacker. Just some. I can go on. Mark Millette at linebacker. Some really good offensive linemen, Ronnie Doyle, Mark Hartman, Mark Silvio. We had, we were solid across the board. We didn't have too many weaknesses. Defensively, we weren't real big, but we were athletic and we ran well. And Coach Calmes used to say, "Give me a fast one over a big one any day, and I'll win a lot more games." And that was his philosophy. His philosophy was also to play your best 11 players on the field till they couldn't go no more. And those days are different. Now a lot of players get rotated in because of depth. And back then, it wasn't that way. But great coaching, and I just remember Mac Boatner against Delta State my freshman year. I think he set the single game record. He rushed for 200 and I think 60 something yards in that one game, and watching that, and watching Robbie throw the ball up and down the field against, UL Monroe and some of the plays he made. Charlie Thomas taking a handoff against UL Lafayette late in the game, and we won 7-0, taking it 80 yards over there, and hearing the pin drop after that play, and big win for us, the Boise State game, where we beat the national champion, and a lot of great victories. Troy State, we beat them twice while I was here. In Central Florida, they had just started their program. We beat them twice, and they down there once and at Southeastern. Those were. And I had a lot of family and friends go to that game. It went far. It was, maybe an hour and a half, 2-hour drive from where I grew up. And a lot of guys gave me their tickets, and I had a huge group of people come over and see me play, and it was great to actually have some of those people be able to do that. So it was, I can go on and on about great plays and great players, and, it's kind of endless. You don't want to give too much credit or take it away from anybody. And, I just think we played hard, and we were efficient with what we had, and it brought us success.
To your point about playing at UCF, it's not like it was today where your family in South Florida can just pop on ESPN Plus and watch the game. They probably they couldn't even listen to radio back then because it wasn't streamed. So they kind of had to just hear about it from you. So that probably was pretty special for you to get to play in front of your home fans. Mark, go ahead.
No, you were just talking about Coach Calme's preferring fast over big, but you were big and fast. You're still big. Anybody that's seen you in person, you probably look like you can still play, actually. And I know Robbie Mafu's just said tonight that if he had to take one guy to rush the passer, it'd be you. If he had one play to win a game to rush the passer, it'd be Alan Wozniak. But that was a golden age. There's a lot of golden ages. I think everybody feels like their age is the golden age in Southeastern football, but that really was a golden age. That's when Southeastern emerged out of D2 into Division I for the first time. That coincided with your career, actually. I think 1980 was that first year, and you had that Boise State win right out of the chute you talked about, and just a really magical year in Coach Lofton's first year. But talk about that. I know you talked about it a little bit earlier with Coach Brewer recruiting you, but let's dig down a little bit deeper on Coach Oscar Lofton and what he meant to your career and the career of a lot of people here at Southeastern, and even before that, he coached at Hammond High. Before that, a state champion. He was integral in basically the entire football community here at Southeastern and Hammond in general. And just talk a little bit more about Oscar Lofton, if you would.
Sure. He obviously was a legendary player for the Lions. Very well known in the community. And just a really, really respected guy. And, of course, that really took foot when he won the state championship at Hammond High. And he left for a while, came back, and it was a good fit, of course. And, him being a Lion, legend he was. And, of course, hiring TC as his coordinator, another Lion legend. And when I first met him, I don't know, it's something sometimes you get a feeling. And, I felt, he was honest. He was upfront. He gave me fair expectations. Good Christian guy. Just, everything you want and you respect in a coach. And I kind of sensed that right from the get-go. And I was very, very fortunate to have great coaching in high school. And it carried on to college. And that's where I've been really, really blessed, is to have good people coach me. And, boy, that's a big difference, when you respect the people that coach you, and likewise, and it just kind of comes together. But he took, I'll tell you a quick story. He took me and another guy from my high school that signed with us also. Back in the day, they'd take you out to eat, and everybody went to Little Johnny's back then.
Yeah.
He took everybody to eat at Little Johnny's.
That's right.
And they tell me to order the fried seafood platter. Well, I noticed there's a crab on this platter that's fried. Well, I had never in my life heard of a soft shell crab. I didn't know what one was. I'd never heard of one. Wasn't from here. And I see Coach Calmes break a leg off and put it in his mouth. I think he's about to break his tooth on a crab leg, and because he's eating it that way. And then I realized they're teasing me about it because I had no idea what a soft shell crab was. So they both ribbed me about that for a long time. So but those guys, I can't say enough about Coach Lofton. I just I'm overly appreciative for everything he did for me. And like I said to him there last year, when of course, I always get a chance to thank him, when I see him. And, he takes a chance on a skinny little kid out of South Florida and, come here and, start a family and, the kids and the grandkids, it's kind of the way I would hope it would be for a lot of people to be fortunate to have that scenario. Other people move away and follow their careers or go back home. I just loved it here. I like the people, I like the culture, and I love the Lions. So, I'm a Lion for life. That's can't say that enough nowadays. I'm fortunate to have a lot of those guys come out there and tailgate. It seems like that year there, there's a lot of older guys and there's a few of the younger guys, but that little group there seems to be the most that are out there.
And let's talk about that a little bit, because obviously there's 17, 18-year gap between when it was dropped and when it was brought back. And that's kind of what this community's missing, are those alums that would have had football, for those 17, 18 years that have moved on, maybe somewhere else, and maybe they support somebody else. But the credit has to go to you guys, the former football players who stayed together, kept that group together. I know you came back, had reunions year after year, and lobbied to bring it back. I know Tom Duple tried to bring it back in the 90s, couldn't get it done. And finally, in 2000, 2001, Sally Clausen, they're able to and Dr. Moffitt, they're able to get football back in business. And I know a lot of that has to go to you guys who kept things together. Talk about the Former Football Players Association, a lot of the guys you tailgate with. Just talk about those guys and all the support they've been able to lend over the years.
Well, of course, they're, they were, key to, trying to get funding to bring the program back. A lot of them lobbied a lot of people. Like I said, a lot of credit to both university presidents that helped bring it back. It's a big undertaking when you realize what you got to do when it stops for all those years, what you got to do to get it back. And it's not a small task. It's expensive to start it all up. And it took a lot of effort from a lot of people. And of course, we were, right in the middle of it all. And I remember Coach Lofton saying when they brought it back,
said, the day they run the team out on the field, I'll give you $1,000 for a scholarship, and I'll lay down like a throw rug, and y'all can run out over top of me with your cleats on. I don't care.
And he was, I'm so glad that he's got to enjoy this, and after a long career as NFL scout when he left Southeastern, very successful, by the way. It's just, I can't emphasize enough how much effort it takes to bring that back. It's just, it doesn't seem like much, but it is huge and very, like I said, very expensive. And we all kind of came together and did it. We get together every year. We feed the team, over there, before the game, and we get to talk with them. We get to talk to the players, and they're always really, really good kids. They're polite. They genuinely seem happy to see you. I think that's a testament to Coach Selfo. I think these kids are just. it's really good to see that. Sometimes people you think, oh, they're here, they're gone the next year or whatever, and in some cases that's still happening, but those guys are just it's good to see them, and I think they're a good product on the field, and they're a very good product off the field too.
Alan, you've been able to see some good players here in the comeback of football. You talk about Brian Bennett, Cole Kelly, Brian Babin. You talk about the players this year. You talk about Cephas Johnson. Any moments stand out to you? I guess I want to ask you about, you had the comeback of football, but how cool was it when they won the conference in 2013 for the first time against Sam Houston there? What was that like to, you get the program back, you had some mild success, some struggle season, but when you raised the trophy in Strawberry Stadium in 2013 for the first time, you would then do it a few more times under Ron Roberts and Frank Selfo. When you see that, because it's one thing to get the program back, but it's one thing to see the success. Talk about that memory of when you saw that first I know that it still hangs in your office today, the picture of the Hammond Daily Star of the Lions winning that Southland Conference Championship in 2013. You get it back. Talk about, you already talked about the feeling to get it back, but when you saw the success in that year, how'd that make you feel with that conference championship?
That was incredible. I've only done this twice, and I got down, hopped the fence, and went on the field. I had to do it. I usually just walk away, and cheer them to the end and leave. But no, I had to go share that one with the guys out there. They, that drive at the end of the game was, I still go back and play it back. You can't get enough of that last drive where we scored and took the lead and then stopped them. I thought we were done. They had just scored, went down, and of course it's Sam. They're really good. They've been playing for national championships and all that, and here we are, beating them, and with no fluke, we beat them. Physically on the field, and we executed better, and we won the game. We deserved to win the game, and that was that moment there. You kind of thought, we've made it back. Now we're at that playoff pinnacle now, where we're actually getting notoriety nationwide, and it was an incredible feeling. I was in the stands, and of course it was packed for that game, and just to hear the crowd when we scored that touchdown. We almost scored too quick. And that's what I was thinking at the moment. We should have waited a little longer, but we ran down and scored, and then of course the next year, a lot of things. We had a few more injuries, and and Bennett was banged up a little bit, and we had a great defense one year and a great offense the next. If we could have meshed them together, there ain't no telling how far we could have gone with those two teams there. And that was a testament to Ron Roberts recruiting and getting kids, and that put us on the map. And we're still on the map, and but that really put us there. Like I said, before that, we were good. We were okay. We were a couple bad years, but we were, like I said, we weren't never the doormat, And after that, it kind of just took off from there.
Well, I won't let you go without you talking about your alma mater, Venice High School. This guy talks about Venice High School football, Mark, almost as much as he talks about the Lions. I know you're proud of your high school alma mater. And how many state championships have they won now?
They're either in it or playing for it almost every year. They've won. I think they've won 3 7A and 3 8A championships in the last 10, 12 years, and they've been right up there every year. And that's something in Florida for a public school to do that. A lot of your bigger schools that do that are your St. Thomas Aquinas and, your other schools that are, big private, your IMGs, and my high school schedules them every year, believe it or not. They schedule IMG because they're only 30 miles away, and they play them. I'm not a big fan of giving those kind of programs a platform, but they're always very competitive with them. And last year, when they won the 8A state championship, they almost beat them. They lost by 3 points. So, very, very good program. It's a great coach. And he's been there for quite a few years. They got a number of players in the NFL and in major college football right now. Their starting quarterback from their latest state championship team is the starting quarterback at Purdue right now, and they had a safety playing the other day for Ohio State. They had another one playing for Ole Miss. I mean, they got really, really good players playing in a lot of your, Power Four, or major colleges right now, and they got a few of them that I wish the Lions can get a hold of that are playing at your, FCS schools too. I've had a kind of a hard time getting that correlation together. With the way films are nowadays and the way word gets out, it's kind of a different ball game than what it used to be. Back in the day, you'd make a phone call. Well, that don't happen no more. You try to, but as a scout, you know what I'm talking about. It's
it can't hide them anymore.
Exactly. And great program. I was blessed to play on the first undefeated team in school history, my senior year there, and like I said, coached really good coaches that prepared us very well, and it prepared me for when I came here. And back in the days when we had 3-a-days, not 2-a-days, 3-a-days.
Yeah.
And in August in Louisiana, and which is almost abuse to some point. But I tell you what, we were ready to play, and we were in shape. And when it came time, I never saw too many of us huffing for wind in the fourth quarter. We were still ready to go. So I think that gave us a big advantage over our opponents, especially teams from up north, the Illinois States. Some of those teams. I think Boise was ill prepared for us. It's South Louisiana heat will get you in shape. I can tell you that.
I can attest to that too, no doubt. It certainly will. But I would be talking about Venice High School every day if we won that many state championships. That's a lot of championships. That's a great program. We know Venice, and I know you're proud of it. But Alan, great stuff, man. This is
great
awesome
stuff.
Yeah. Well, listen,
real quick before you get off, what do you think about this team, this current Lion team? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm fired up. They're playing very sound football across the board. Not too many weaknesses. The dual quarterback thing at the beginning of the year, I wasn't sure, but boy, they both complement one another. The team doesn't seem to have a fall off or a change. Believe it or not, I think they both can run pretty good, but they both can throw pretty good. The advantage to that was if one of them does go down, the other one's ready to go because he's been playing, a lot. So, hey, it works. And we haven't had a lot of major injuries. The offensive line's pretty much intact. I think our defense is really stout. I think we're aggressive. We're fast. We get after the passer. We play really good in the back end. Our linebackers are real solid. Special teams are good. A testament last week, a punt return and a kickoff return. Of course, the punt return was called back, but they're just solid. I think we can make a couple. We can make a couple games deep in the playoffs, I think, with this team, and or even further. You just, if you continue to keep playing as good as we are, and keep progressing, and we're not turning the ball over a lot, not a ton of penalties. They're just playing good football, and it seems to get better every week, which is definitely what you want. Of course, you don't ever want to take a step back, and I think they're well coached. I kind of like their offensive philosophy a little bit. It's not throw the ball 40 times a game. That's not their deal. They're going to run it when they need to, and they're going to be successful at it. And we're very balanced. If you look at our statistics at the end of a game, our passing and rushing's really, really, it's not lopsided, and, you need to run the football to win games. And I think we'll all agree to that, especially when you need to, and we can sure do it. We just got to stay healthy. and just take them one at a time. We can't get ahead of ourselves. I know some of our opponents coming up look a little weak. Well, you can't, but some of these teams are starting to play a little better later in the season. Yeah. And, you can't take any of them for granted. And of course, you get these rivalry games, like, Nichols at the end of the year. You can never count those guys out. And, we just got to keep winning. And it'll take, if we just keep doing what we're doing, things will take care of themselves.
No doubt. Amen.
Great stuff. All right, it's Alan Wozniak, our special guest this week. Player for the Lions from 1980 to 1983. Alan, thanks for being with us tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thank you guys for all you do for Lions, man. We appreciate you.
No problem.
Appreciate
it's Alan Wozniak. We'll take a break, come back with more on Southeast Sports Network Podcast. All right, welcome back. Southeast Sports Network Podcast moves on for Week 9. Special guest this week was Alan Wozniak, former Lion defensive lineman from the 80s. Just a guy that I saw, Mark. You see him all the time, get to know him. He loves the Lions, as you heard there. He remembers everything. He can tell you, the snap and the play. And I'm sure a lot of those guys are like that, when you're playing and being a former golfer, at Southeastern and just a competitive golfer, I can think about every shot and hole and tournaments and stuff like that too. Yeah. So I guess that correlates back with it. But he was great. I just wanted to get him on here. You love to get the former guys on as often as you can, and I got a relationship with Alan, and he does a great job with just being a fan. And he always comes to me every time I see him in August. He's like, man, we're feeding the team, and he looks forward to that feeding the team every year. And because it's for an opportunity for those guys to give back. It's an opportunity for those guys to get to know the players and build that camaraderie. So I know he really thinks a lot about that, and that's what it's all about for those guys.
Yeah, well, he's the perfect guy to have on because he came here from somewhere else, like a lot of players have, and like a lot of us have, that make Hammond their home and come to Southeastern, and he comes here from Florida. Came here in an era where obviously you dropped football right after his playing career was over, and he could have left, went back home, or chosen to move anywhere, but he stayed in Hammond, and he stayed a Lion fan. That's kind of what I want to talk to him about was. Some dark times. You basically the athletic department, no conference. You're an independent. You had to drop basketball one year in there as well. Folks don't talk about that very much, but it was dark times here at Southeastern athletically, and you still have those former players that held strong, held the faith, kept things together, got the program back, and as the school began to thrive again. And you were able to get football back, and now to see where things are today. And I know a lot of times we're always, hey, we could do this better, do that better. But if you see where Southeastern is right now today, where it was in 1985, if you're like a lot of folks aren't old enough to remember that, I am. And it's so far ahead today. We're in such better shape. No question. Guys like Alan Wozniak held true and stayed true, the former players, and want to dig down on that as well. And then obviously his comments on Coach Lofton. It was good to hear that. So glad we had Alan on.
Mark, Lions get a big win over Northwestern State in their dominating performance. Second straight shutout for the Lions as they shut out McNeese after the bye 3 weeks ago, I guess you'd say now. And then do it again this week against the Demons. Just a game that was not close from the start, and the Lions asserted their dominance. And, I'm sure Coach Selfo found plenty of stuff yesterday in the film they can clean up. But overall, another solid game. You're getting a lot of guys playing time, and Coach Selfo commented about that today with the press conference, with the luncheon, with the media, on being this deep in the season and just getting constant reps for so many players and opportunities to play. And that doesn't always come. There are a lot of teams around the country that are in late October that are, back-to-back games, getting pretty much everybody, who's dressed a chance to get in the game to get reps. And that's important because if you do have injuries down the stretch, you have guys that are not rolling in the game, cold, so to speak.
Well, it's not just playing time; it's quality playing time. It's meaningful reps, and they've been doing that all year. This isn't just the last couple of weeks, because the scores have been out of hand. Starting week one at Louisiana Tech and the Murray State, Mississippi Valley, LSU, this staff has continued to play a lot of players, and it's by design. And especially we talk about the quarterback position, playing two quarterbacks, but they're rotating 8, 10, 11 defensive linemen every week, 8, 9, 10, 11 offensive linemen every week, multitude of receivers, running backs, defensive backs, linebackers. It's not just garbage time. So these guys are getting to play. But the thing I was impressed with on Saturday was the quality of play and lack of drop off. Northwestern State, had their starters in the whole game, and other than had a drive where they drove down inside the 15-yard line. They're late, but you got a couple. You got flanked one time, because you got to realize those guys are practicing scout team. They're not practicing against. In practice, you split the teams up. You got a scout team, and the guys are going to practice to play. Well, the guys that are on a scout team are running the other team's stuff. They're not running your stuff against them. So when those guys get in the game, they're kind of going in there flying blind. So hats off to the backups who really played well. And that goal line stand at the end when the bench erupted. It's the second week in a row that they've had a goal line stand with second, third, fourth team players keeping the other opponent out of the end zone for a shutout, and just kind of speaks to the camaraderie of this football team and the buy-in for those guys to be able to go in, hold the fort, play at a high level, and continue to get better. So great win on Saturday against Homecoming. It was efficient. I would say it was, you kind of knew what the outcome was going to be, but you executed early and often. You scored, you got it over with, and stayed relatively healthy, and you continue to move on. So good win.
Mark, as the Lions turn their attention to HCU this Saturday, another team who's struggling to find their way. 5 games left for Southeastern. You have HCU on the road back home against East Texas A&M, followed by the 2 road games that I think stand out as the toughest, just from preseason stuff and history. But Lamar, a really good football team, obviously tied with you, perfect in Southland Conference play. That's going to be a tough one on the road in Beaumont in a few weeks. And then you got UIW the week after that. And then you follow with, as Wozniak mentioned, the Nichols game. No matter what their record is, you can't ever count them out. And, I think they're going to have some games here down the stretch where they're going to have a chance to win. They're going to play some of the, I think their schedule Nichols' schedule has been a little front loaded with some of the tougher teams. They've played Lamar, they've played SFA, but they're going to have some winnable games down the stretch of the season. So I think they could have a little bit of confidence coming into the end of the season against the Lions. We won't jump ahead really, but I'm just saying, like, every game is very meaningful. But HCU, been over there, a team who's struggling to score points right now, but has shown some ability to play good defense.
Yeah, they haven't given up a ton of points, really, in any game other than their FBS game. They have managed to gum up a game. In other words, they do a lot on defense to where, and Frank Selfo talked about it today at his press conference and again tonight on his radio show. They show you different fronts, come from a lot of different places, different pressure packages. And if you're not prepared, I don't care how good you are as an offense, if your offensive line can't pick up some of the stuff that they do, they can call some negative plays. Like I said, gum up your offense to the point where, they just make the game ugly. Now, they're struggling to score points themselves, and you feel like you're going to outscore them in this game regardless. But they can make it where you come out of there feeling like, hey, we didn't play well. So I think that's what Southeastern's got to guard against in this game, is to go over there and simplify enough to where your blocking schemes are simple, where you can get a hat on a hat, get your athletes in space, get ahead, and then get out. I think that's the plan, but you have to respect them, because this is a team that came in here to Strawberry Stadium 2 years ago and got a win. You got a talented running back who can go. They'll try to get him the football as best they can. They do play good defense. You have to respect every opponent. You have to take these things one play at a time, one game at a time. And I know this team will do that. They're focused on that hand. So, they're not going to get out too far ahead. But we can, I guess, because that's what we do. But this is a good Southeastern football team. Let's make no mistake. This is a team that, I've probably said it or hinted at it over the, off-season podcasts that we've done back in the spring, that I think this team's got a chance to be special. And I think that's proven to be the case. And you have the 2 FBS losses, but this is a team that, because you can rush the passer with 4, you can affect the quarterback, you can run the football, you've got weapons on the outside, you got guys who can run the football, you have 2 quarterbacks that can make plays. When you have that dynamic and special teams together, and plus you have outstanding kids. And if anybody didn't see that interview with Carson Camp and Kyle Lowe, you need to watch it. It was on Game Notes on LPB this week. We may put a link up for it. But watch that interview. Watch Ian Goodley last week. And you can tell why this team is special. This team has a chance to be really good. But this week, just another week. Get it started and see where we go.
That's right. That's what you can do, and try to push your. What is that now? That's UTRGV, McNeese. That's 3-0 in the Southland Conference. 3-0. So, chance to go 4-0. Still a lot of the season left to go. More than half of the conference season left to go this week.
I do have one thing. We have to say this because we do. Friday, Robin Roberts, the unveiling of the new Robin Roberts Media Center at Southeastern.
Very nice event.
Great event on campus. Of course, the Good Morning America crew was in, had a ribbon cutting ceremony. We got a chance to briefly tour, the new facility a little bit, and well attended for homecoming and all that. Well, a couple approached me during the event and stopped me in my tracks and say, "Look, it's finally nice to meet you." Didn't know them, but they are from Texas and they watch our podcast every week. And they asked me, "Where is the podcast? Where was it last week?" And I said, "Well, I was out of town and we had an open date, so we didn't do one." So they were looking forward to the podcast. Their name is Bob and Pat Gerard, and they live in Texas. And they also mentioned that because we promote the Getting the Game NIL deal that Coach Selfo is trying to do, $25 a month, they are donating to the NIL because of our podcast and our plea for them to get involved. So I thought that was just outstanding. And that's why we do this podcast. And people like Bob and Pat who can't, aren't here, can't be here every week. They came back for homecoming, but makes it worth what we do.
That's right. And they could be in the attendance in Houston this weekend. You never know from over that way. So, but that's what it's all about.
To Bob and Pat over.
Absolutely. So we do it for Line fans, and it's about spreading information. It's about getting the promoting of the program, and I got to do the post game show Saturday night from Lighthouse and the Eclipse Bar in downtown. I did my pregame and halftime stuff from Normal Spot, but went down there and we got all set up and
location unknown.
Yeah, and it was great. I first got there, you didn't really know how it was going to go, and kind of an idea that they put forth to us, and we kind of made it happen. And you're kind of setting up, and I get started, and you forget the game just ended, I guess. And there's a few people milling around in there, and it was like nobody's here. And you're kind of wondering, what. And then all of a sudden, as the game, as I got 5 or 6 minutes into post game, you had more, people kind of showing up, and just a lot. We had I would say about 20, it's about 30 to 35 people who ended up showing. It was all said and done when I signed off. There's probably 30 to 35 Line fans who had kind of made their way in there, kind of milling around, having drinks, socializing after the game, being in downtown. So that was great, and I appreciate all the people that came out and were kind of listening to us do the post game and just being a part of it. And so it's always fun, people do care and they love it, and we're proud to bring it to them each and every week, Mark. So thank you again. I want to thank Alan Wozniak for joining us this week, and we'll be back next week, hopefully talking about a win against HCU and looking ahead to the return, the final Saturday home game in Strawberry Stadium for the regular season. We hope we'll have a Saturday home game for the playoffs, but for the regular season, the final home game will be the following week as East Texas A&M comes to town. So we'll be back next week with another guest, as always, and breaking those games down and more. You can follow everything you need to know about Lion Athletics on the Lion Sports Network Twitter handle, or X handle, whatever they call it now. All that information. Also, Line Up Fans Twitter. Put out good information. Yeah, just Twitter in general. So follow along and get the latest on the Lions as they march over to Houston next Saturday to take on the Huskies and march forward towards hopefully a Southland Conference championship. Thanks for being with us. For Mark Willoughby, I want to thank Alan Waddell. I'm Robbie Rhodes. We'll talk to you next week. This has been a presentation of Line Up Fans Podcast Productions. We'll see you next week, everybody.